Welcome to the CARE Expert Session. Today we have our speaker, Lauren Nicolas Card. She is going to be presenting about microloans. And she's from International Rescue Committee. Go ahead, Lauren.
Awesome. Thank you. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Well, thank you for having me. Like Lily said, my name is Lauren Nicolas Card, and I am the Small Business Program Coordinator for the International Rescue Committee Seattle office. I have been with the IRC for 3 years now. I started in the summer of 2021 as our small business counselor for the position and for the program. And now I oversee all of our small business programming. So I was invited to chat about our microlending program and the opportunities that we have for accessible business financing. I will provide a brief overview of the IRC for those of you who are not familiar with our work. So the IRC is primarily a refugee resettlement agency. We were founded in 1933 at the request of Albert Einstein to address the refugee crisis post-World War II in Europe, which means that we are approaching our 100th birthday, which is very exciting. The Seattle office was opened in 1976 in response to the influx of Vietnamese refugees in the area, which means that our office is approaching our 50th birthday, which is also very exciting. Our main purpose is refugee resettlement, but we also host a whole suite of other programs that are meant to fall under our umbrella of resettlement and address every aspect of the transition to a new life here. I have a few examples listed on this side. We've got a youth program, early employment, mental health and psychosocial support, and our small business programming falls under economic empowerment, which also includes our financial capabilities programming and then career programs. And because we're outside of the umbrella of refugee resettlement, our eligibility is more expansive. So you don't actually have to be an immigrant or a refugee to take advantage of our services. We support the upward economic mobility of anyone, regardless of who you are, where you came from, immigration status, or anything else. So the IRC lends through an in-house CDFI, or Community Development Financial Institution, called the Center for Economic Opportunity. It's based out of our San Diego office, and we refer to it as CEO just for ease of access. CEO is a national nonprofit financial institution that offers small dollar business loans to refugees, immigrants, and other credit-thin individuals. It's a subsidiary of the IRC, like I said, based out of our San Diego office, and a certified CDFI loan fund. So it's not a bank, it's a community lender. CEO lends through community partnerships with IRC offices throughout the US, as well as other nonprofit organizations. Offices like ours and other nonprofits will provide financial education and coaching to borrowers in linguistically and culturally appropriate capacity. And then we count on CEO to provide us with our full service microlending platform. I heard the best story when I was asking the staff at CEO to tell me a little bit more about how CEO was formulated. The inspiration for the IRC to start our own CDFI came from a business counselor in the San Diego office who now happens to be the executive director of the Center for Economic Opportunity, was working with a recently arrived individual who was in need of a car, but at that point, their small business programs could only do business loans through one of their grant programs. So this gentleman came to Costco one day and surprised him by letting him know that he wanted to start a business, a paint touch-up business. So when Costco asked him what kind of support and supplies he'd need to get started, he replied, "Well, I need a car and I need some paint." So I really like that story because I think it captures some of the ingenuity and hard work that comes from our immigrant and refugee communities, especially those who decide to be entrepreneurs. And it's grown into a multi-state lending operation. So it's very exciting. So just a brief snapshot of how CEO operates and the successes that we've had in the almost 10 years that CEO has been in operation. CEO has been in operation for 10 years, and we've been licensed to lend in our area for about 2 years now. Over the past 9 years, CEO has provided access to $6.2 million worth of business microloans and maintained a successful repayment percentage rate of 97.24% and an overall approval rate of 89%. This is through 30 IRC and non-IRC partners spread across 16 US states. For the Seattle office, like I said, our small business program has been around for almost 3 years now, and we've been able to assist 47 clients with accessing, at this point, probably about $400,000 worth of small business capital. This data was from earlier in the fall. We are very proud of that. It's pretty impressive for a fairly small team of only about 4 people processing our loan applications. For those of you who are not familiar with a CDFI and the benefits of working with a CDFI rather than a bank, the kind of main 3 benefits that you can sum this up as are accessibility, opportunity, and accommodation. So of the 153 business loans that were made by CEO overall in fiscal year 2023, 41 of those loans were made to borrowers with credit scores below 580 to no activity reported. 60 of these loans were opportunities provided to borrowers considered to be very low to extremely low income. And then 131 of the loans were made to borrowers with humanitarian or other immigrant status, asylee, refugee, SIV, and then 22 loans made to US-born borrowers. CO is also very accommodating of the unique challenges that come along with being an immigrant entrepreneur or a low-income entrepreneur. All we ask for is communication, and CEO is more than willing to work with us to postpone a payment, change a payment, make any accommodations that are reasonable, and will ensure that the loan scenario remains safe, sustainable, and overall successful. So an overview of the loan products that we can offer through CEO. First off, our business microloans. So we lend up to $50,000 from, I believe you can go under 300 at this point as well. They just have to have a starting point. So we'll say from $100 to $50,000. And again, our business loan program is open to anyone, regardless of immigration status or personal background. I have the interest rates listed above, and I'm happy to also provide this slideshow to Lily as well, so it can be sent out and you can reference this chart. We do have a couple smaller loan products that are worth pointing out. So at the moment, we can do up to $2,500 for 12 months at 0% interest. So if you just need a quick leg up, a piece of equipment, a down payment for something to get started without strings attached or without having to worry about interest on a loan, that's a great place to start. So all the business loans that we package go to CEO's internal loan committee for review and approval. I like to tell people that if I could, I would give out all the money possible, but our part in this process is to package the loan application, help you get ready for that application, and then send it off for review. So we can't guarantee that you would get a loan, but we will do our best to make sure that your application is as thorough as possible. Any loans over 20,000 will go to the internal committee and then also an external committee for further review. And because of that additional review process, those loans do take a little bit more time and documentation to package. The higher dollar loans, so from about 20,000 to 50,000, also tend to go to more established businesses where we can demonstrate profitability, which is not to say though that we can't start small and refinance later for a higher amount. We also fill a gap in CDFI and microloan funding that a lot of the other CDFIs in the area don't come up to. There are other CDFIs in the area that lend 50,000 and above. So for true small businesses and folks who need the access, we are a great entry point for securing business financing. And then you'll see on the right side too, there's no hidden fees, no late fees, no insufficient funds fees, and then they don't particularly mind if you pay off your loan early. There's no prepayment penalty, and just overall no strings attached. So it really is a good scenario for business financing, especially if you've had challenges with traditional financial institutions in the past. And then we also have a newer digital accelerator loan product. And this is a special exception in that CEO will allow us to apply for a business loan for a client in addition to a digital accelerator loan. And these loans are up to $2,500 for 24 months, and the rate maxes out at 1.99%. And these loans are meant to help you access anything that would be needed for digitizing your business. Things like software purchases, website subscriptions, any kind of tools or equipment that you need for payment processing, digital marketing, anything to help you get online, increase your online presence is all eligible under the digital accelerator loan. And I'm happy to talk to anybody interested about what sorts of purchases would be eligible. If you're curious about how your business might benefit from one of our digital accelerator loans. Okay. And then our credit building ladder loan is a resource that we've been able to offer again just recently to our small business clients. It's a 3-step ladder where you're lent a small amount of money to begin with for a fixed term and at 0% interest. And then that loan is set up on an automatic payment to be on time every month. So when you complete the first series of payments, $100 over 6 months, then you have the opportunity to go to the next rung of the ladder, $300 for 8 months. And if you complete all 3 steps of the ladder, what you end up with is 34 on-time payments on your credit report. You have 3 installment loans opened and paid in full. So typically, most kind of entry-level credit opportunities are going to be credit cards, revolving loans. And so this actually will end up diversifying your use of credit, which is a benefit to your score. And then no hard inquiries, and it doesn't cost you a thing because there's 0% interest loans. So you've paid $0 to build your credit. I had a newly resettled refugee client who took advantage of the first rung in the ladder, the $100 loan, when he arrived. And we ran his credit report before we applied. And because he was newly arrived, he didn't have any activity on his credit report. And by the time 6 months was up and he had made all of his payments on time, we ran his credit report again, and he had gone from no reported activity to a 720 just with that first rung of the ladder. If you already have personal credit and have had some history with your credit usage, the effects, we can't guarantee the effects quite as, it depends on what's on your report, essentially. If you have not utilized credit, or you have a very thin credit file, this is a really excellent way to boost your score. If you are looking to rebuild your credit, that's something that we can talk about on a case-by-case basis, but it certainly won't hurt. If you are just wading into the idea of business financing, if you don't take loans for personal or religious reasons, this is a very accessible way to build your credit. And since personal credit is usually the first determination of your credit worthiness as a business owner, this is a great first step to go on that road to taking on business financing. So real briefly, you might wonder why your personal credit would matter as a business owner. And I will do a brief intro to business credit. I would assume for those of you who worked with Lily that you probably got a pretty good handle on this information already. But for those of you who are not familiar, personal credit and business credit differ quite a bit, and they're also regulated quite differently. So personal credit, the identifier is tied to your social security number. Business credit is tied to your business. So if you decided to sell, the business credit file will follow the business, whereas your personal credit file stays with you forever. There are two types of personal credit scores, FICO and Vantage. And business credit, there's no real equivalent to a FICO score. Each bureau that operates business credit will score and report business credit in their own way. Personal credit, typically the score runs from 300 to 850, and anything over 670 is considered good credit. Business credit runs from 1 to 100, and anything over 75 is considered good credit. There are three consumer credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And business credit bureaus, there's Dun and Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. And then the differences between personal and credit and business credit in terms of regulation are that because of all the consumer finance protection laws we have, there are methods in place for you to challenge discrepancies on your report with the credit bureaus. Business credit is not as heavily regulated, so you can challenge discrepancies on the report, but the credit bureaus are not obligated to respond or make any changes for you. And then personal credit, typically the limits are lower, there's lower fees. Business credit will be higher limits and higher annual fees to access. So how are your personal and business credit connected? Typically, when you're first applying for business credit, a business loan, business credit card, they will run a personal credit check as a guarantee of your credit worthiness for business credit. You might also be asked to personally guarantee a business credit card, depending on the financial institution. And then depending on the financial institution as well, your business credit activity and utilization may also be reported to the consumer credit bureaus. And some lending companies only choose to report negative activity. So if you're missing payments on a business credit card and it's having a negative effect on your credit, it's possible that that could be reported to your consumer credit report as well. So it depends pretty highly on the financial institution. So it's always a good practice to make sure that you're very clear on the terms of um, any business financing or business credit that you're accessing and how that would affect your personal credit. So some best practices for building good business credit: separating your personal and business finances, making sure that you have a separate business banking account and credit card, and that those are tied to a separate business phone number. And then consider establishing as either an LLC, a partnership, or a corporation to reduce your financial liability, personal financial liability, and then apply for and use business credit. If that's a credit card, a loan, utilization, will start to establish a business credit file. And then just in general, treat it with the same care as you would your personal credit. And this is why we emphasize going into taking on business financing, that working on building up your personal credit and personal financial literacy is really vital in ensuring that you are ready to take on a larger loan with a bigger commitment. So the application process is fairly simple. You'd start with an introduction to one of my colleagues, either our small business counselor, Neil, or one of our financial coaches if you're interested in talking about credit building or credit repair. For business loan products, we'd assist you with pulling together your application documentation or referring you to a specialized TA provider if you need more specialized assistance. For example, if you needed help with taxes, we might refer you over to Lily. And then the most important thing to consider is that our lender is looking for additional is looking for evidence of additional income. Because these loans are meant to be accessible regardless of your credit score and your personal financial history, the most important thing for us to be able to document is additional income sources so that CEO can make sure that in the event something happens to your business or something happens to you, your situation and your loan repayment will be safe and sustainable for you in the long term. These loans do take some time to process. We are a pretty small team, and CEO is also a small team serving multiple states for the IRC. So if you're looking for emergency funding, this is probably not the best route for you. Typically for business loans, they take about a month to process and then get a decision on. And then credit building loans go much faster if you're interested in that process. And then the larger business loans will typically take even more time, especially if we're having to wait for the external loan committee review. So the main requirements for our loans are completing a credit training and then a review of your personal credit report. We also are required to fill out a family budget with you just to make sure you're in a good spot where you can cover your personal expenses, your family's expenses, and also a loan payment. And then we will also work with you to develop a business plan and a 12-month cash flow projection with the help of one of our business counselors. If you have that already, if you've worked with another organization and you come to us with that already formatted, awesome. We love to see it, and it makes the process even easier. Only other required documentation would be an email address a valid government issued photo ID. You do have to have a US-based bank account for the funds to be deposited into. And then we also want to see the your two most recent monthly bank statements, both your personal statements and business account statements if you have a business account, and then two most recent pay stubs or verifiable business income statements. Again, just to make sure that you're in an okay spot with your personal finances and in a good scenario for you to take on a loan, potential loan payment. And then previous year tax returns, if you have them, both for your business and your personal tax returns. And I will emphasize again that our loans are open to anyone, so we don't require any particular documentation for immigration. We have helped folks before who didn't have a social security number. If you are curious about eligibility or you'd like to talk to us further, please do reach out because we want to make sure that these particular products get to the folks that could use the access most. So I'll leave you with a success story, client success story. So the stunning woman on the left in this photo is one of our former clients. Her name is Olainka, and she is the owner and designer of her own clothing brand. It's called IO Collections. And she is an immigrant from Nigeria, and Ayo means joy in her native language of Yoruba. I was fortunate enough to get to work with her. It's the beginning of her business journey. She approached us looking for business financing, and through our credit education and family budget and review of her credit report, we decided to apply for an auto refinance loan for her, in addition to a small business loan through CEO. And she successfully received both loans. So this resulted in her car payment being cut in half. So she had extra cash and business capital to put on a local fashion show. And since then, she's been able to show her designs twice at New York Fashion Week and is absolutely thriving as a businesswoman and a single mom to boot. So if you are on Instagram, I would highly recommend that you check out her page. She is locally based in Seattle and just ridiculously talented. And at some point, I know she's going to make it big and be way too busy to be taking my calls. So that is just one of our many success stories, fortunately. So next steps, the first QR code on here will take you straight to my email. If you are interested in chatting with us about our loans or any other kind of technical assistance you're looking for, just shoot me an email. Give me the basics about your business and what support you're looking for, and then we can talk about next steps to get you started and schedule an introduction with our small business counselor. If you have documentation already ready, or if you're working with another organization like TaxUSign on pulling together your finances, awesome. Keep working on that and working on polishing that. And you can also enter a ticket into the Community Business Connector Help Desk system. That's the second QR code on here, and request help with access to capital there. We are a connector for the CBC program in addition to TaxUSign. And so you can request help with access to capital through that website, and in addition to a whole host of other things. And then you'll get directed to us through that system. Lily also has my information and can connect you with me as well. And yeah, so we'd love to talk with you if you're interested in business financing or working on your credit. And even if you've just got questions about the process or your eligibility, please do reach out. We're more than happy to talk with you about how we can support you best. Thank you so much. And I think that's all I've got.
Awesome. Lauren,
Right.
thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Absolutely. I will send you the slides and then feel free to pass my email along with the slides, contact information, anything else that would be useful.